We'll bring you the latest in Jersey at 1. But now, did you see it on Saturday, the Eurovision Song Contest? Well, it took up about 3.5 hours of my Saturday night with hamster wheels, seesaws. It was a spectacle. And the winner, as you probably know, was the bearded drag act Conchita Wurst. She secured Austria's first win in 48 years.
Still, we need to have the last points from the remaining countries. We're moving on to Switzerland.
A little bit of commentary there from Saturday night. The singer, whose real name is Tom Newworth, won over millions singing the winning anthem Rise Like a Phoenix. The 25-year-old, whose participation in the contest sparked controversy before the Copenhagen final, secured victory with 290 points amid a Twitter storm. But what did you think? In light of her victory, how much does that challenge people's stereotypes? And what does it mean to see a bearded lady being voted for by millions and millions of people across Europe? Did Conchita win just because she's a gimmick act, or are we now living in a world where we're allowed to dress and act exactly how we feel, or perhaps it made you feel slightly uncomfortable? Call me on 720-255 with your thoughts. In light of that, someone who may be able to help us with this is Martin Gavey. He is the chairman of the Channel Islands' first lesbian, bisexual, gay, transgender group. Easy for me to say, Martin. What did you think about Conchita's win?
Hello. We thought it was fantastic. Conchita winning the Eurovision Song Contest is really a real testament to a true change of attitudes towards LGBTQ people in Europe and further afield. We think that these are really exciting times in terms of people accepting diversity across Europe and further afield. And it was quite noticeable as well, the reaction to the Russian entry, which I was a bit sad for the poor girls who had entered from Russia.
Yeah, they're only 17, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't very nice for them to have to put up with the reaction they got from the crowds, but it sent out a very clear message to the Russian government about the way that government is treating LGBTQ people. When I refer to LGBTQ people, I mean lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning people who are unsure about their sexuality, or who are what we call sexually fluid. So we think, it's obviously provoked a reaction from the Russian government already, they're questioning their future entry into the song contest.
Do you think that people still have negative stereotypes in this day and age?
They do. I mean, that's really the reason why Liberate has sort of come to the fore in the Channel Islands, is because the Channel Islands in my lifetime, I'm 44, and in Guernsey, where I live, attitudes actually have become a lot more accepting towards people from all sorts of different backgrounds, whether you're black, whether you're LGBTQ. I think we've become much more cosmopolitan in our society. However, there is still an element there where we come up against homophobia, transphobia, all those sorts of phobias and also racism. And, the group basically is trying to inform people who may have different views to, enter into a conversation then about, how that affects people.
Because as much as you're part of a group, I suppose, it's all about the individual and how they feel and what they come up against, perhaps.
It is. I mean, we represent, obviously, a wide range of people. And one of the issues that we're tackling at the moment is around people who are wanting to transition from, one sex to another, because they feel that the gender that they were born with is not their true gender identity. And we're trying to, sort of support them in any way we can in trying to get their transition fully funded by the state rather than them having to fund it privately. I mean, we believe that's a basic human right to have that.
Do you think that would be met with opposing views? People might suggest that if they feel that way, then they perhaps should pay themselves. Is that something you come up against?
I'm sure they will, but I mean, this is a fundamental issue. It's about your actual identity as a person. I mean, we fund people's treatment for a whole wide range of illnesses, etc. And I'm not saying this is an illness. This is just purely a question of who you identify as. I believe that they should have the medical treatment, because at the end of the day, it's going to cost our economy a lot more in terms of these people actually suffering from depression, self-harm, maybe even suicide. I mean, quite a lot of trans cases end up tragically in suicide. And also, they cost the welfare system, etc. So we've looked into it, and we believe that, it would actually serve the communities better to actually assist people who are struggling with this, and, to help them financially to actually become their true selves. I mean, so, yeah.
Do you think Conchita's win will allow more of us to have a conversation about that sort of thing?
I really hope so, because there's been a lot of really good conversations about things like depression, mental illness, etc., with prominent people like Stephen Fry, Ruby Wax, etc., coming out and actually talking about their mental struggles, with depression, etc. And what we're trying to say to people across the Channel Islands is, look, homophobia and transphobia has a profound impact on people as individuals. They do not feel accepted by the society they live in. They're told quite often by church groups that they're damned to hell. I myself have a strong faith and struggled a lot with it during my childhood, especially, in terms of religious beliefs. Just think, look at the impact that this is having, and enter a conversation with us, and, maybe we can find a common ground.
Conchita has pledged to promote tolerance. That was part of sort of a almost victory speech, if you like, at the end of the evening on Saturday. That's obviously something that you are going to focus on as well. That's what Liberate is all about.
Yeah, well, we don't focus on the word tolerance. Tolerance implies you still harbour a prejudice. We actually focus on the word acceptance, because, what we want is true acceptance and equality. In our laws, our policies, by society in general in terms of attitudes, whether it's in the playground at school, whether it's in the workplace. We are lobbying hard. In fact, we've just started an online petition which has already got 400 signatures across the Channel Islands and further afield. I mean, as far as New Zealand, petitioning both the Chief Minister in Jersey and the Chief Minister in Guernsey to introduce things like equality legislation, anti-discrimination legislation, and also equal marriage legislation.
How likely do you think that it is that it will happen sooner rather than later? Is it a battle? Is it something you're going to be sort of vying for a long time, or do you see that there's almost a light at the end of the tunnel?
Well, Jersey's more advanced than Guernsey. I mean, it's got its Civil Partnership Act, which came in 2012. The Channel Islands generally have been pretty much behind the times when it comes to the rest of Western Europe, etc., in terms of this. But we really do hope that, certainly within my lifetime I'll see it. I'd like to see equal marriage within the next few years, because at the end of the day, these have a profound effect and actually show society what is acceptable in terms of attitudes to people.
Martin Gavay, thank you very much for your time. He's the chairman of Liberate, joining me there to discuss whether Conchita's victory at the Eurovision Song Contest challenges stereotypes, and it appears as though it does. But what do you think? 720-255. We're talking about Eurovision and Conchita's win on Saturday night.